Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Nightmare Cabin. And I know I always say I'm excited about my special guest, but I've got a very special guest with me tonight. I've got Lee Cummings from, you saw it the other week, Severe Lacerations. Lee's going to join me tonight, and we're going to go into a bit more detail about the album, into its background and the songs, etc. And he's going to fill me in on a few details that I missed out because, yeah, this is a real special album, and I'm excited to talk about it. So, thanks for joining me, Lee. How you doing?
Spot on, mate. How are you?
I'm good, mate. Can't complain. Mustn't grumble.
Excellent.
So, yeah, let's bring people up to speed with a short introduction. So, introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about the album, and then we'll get into the detail about the history of the band, etc., and go from there.
Okay, so basically, this album was kind of born out of a promise to my friend. Ultimately, it was stuff that we'd worked on during our time together in Severe Lacerations. Anybody who knows the band will probably understand that there's been quite a lot of lineup changes and things like that.
Right.
I came back into the band after 15 years, should we say? And this is basically the end result of
Army knife.
yeah,
sorry.
it's sorry. This is basically the end result of the work that we put in since I rejoined in 2020.
Right. Great. So, yeah, I mean, the music speaks for itself on this album anyway, but I do think it's got a special story behind it, and it does tug on the heartstrings. So it is a tribute to Phil Rourke.
Yeah.
All right. So it reminded me actually of I don't know if a band that came out. Bear with me one second. I'm just going to turn this air conditioner off once.
Yeah.
That should be better. I bought this little portable little heater because it was freezing the last couple of weeks, and I just left it running and forgot about it. It reminded me actually of a band called Hell. I don't know if you've ever heard of them, where
No.
they only recorded some demos, and I think they released one single, and the singer committed suicide.
Right.
But that guy was Andy Sneap's guitar teacher.
Right.
And off the back of that, obviously, Andy Sneap's gone on to become Andy Sneap, and he ended up meeting up with a band and started going through all the old demos.
Yeah.
And they resurrected the band, and these demos were finally recorded as a proper album with a slightly new lineup, and obviously with Andy Sneap on guitar. And it was nice to see that this guy's vision was finally brought to light. And yeah, this kind of reminded me of that, really. And so did you want to tell us a bit of history of the band? Because when I was looking on the Metal Archives page, it seems like it does go back quite a bit.
Yeah. We started in 1998, the original lineup.
Yeah.
The band was, I think, uninspiringly titled Black Dawn or something like that. We recorded the song To Kill, and that was the first song we ever wrote back in them days. And we also did like a cover of Death Crush by Mayhem, something like that.
Oh yeah.
Nice, and like I'd only been playing guitar. I think I got my first one when I was 17 in 1992, if that serves me correctly. So we'd only been playing like 5-6 years, something like that. And, so basically we were all still learning our instruments and, coming together as a band. Unholy Revenge came like a couple of years later, and we changed the name from Black Dawn to Unholy Prophecy. And then we went to Bloodshed. And that was how like the locals will remember me being in this band, if you will.
Yeah.
From the Bloodshed days, yeah. With the advent of the internet and, funnily enough, Metal Archives, we saw that there was another Bloodshed or another two, and we thought, oh, bloody hell, we need to change our name. It looks like there's already some guys out there called. It doesn't matter this day and age. There's 20 versions of every band, isn't there now?
Yeah, yeah.
But But
it can still get prickly though, can't it? So you got to,
it can indeed,
yeah.
it can. So we came up with the name Serrated Lacerations, and that was the band that was the band I left, if you will.
Right.
And that was in 2004, 2005. I think after that it got changed slightly to Severe Lacerations. Yeah, and then the band got taken out of this hometown. I think it went south first and then went north, like to Barrow-in-Furness, then to Whitehaven. That's when Phil and them lot got involved. And during those years, they did a lot of gigs, and I think they released one 3-track EP. I can't remember the name of it.
Incantation of Sorrow is the one I've got.
That's the one. That's the one. Yeah. And then they were just hit by setback after setback, which just seems typical, this day and age with the age of the people that were in the band. You have children, X, Y, and Z, and
yeah,
these things keep popping up, and it was actually, but I always say, or I'll state now, that the previous version of this band that I joined prior to 2020 was probably its best time.
Mm-hmm.
That's when they really got the name out there. There was Phil on guitars, there was Alan Rogan on guitars, there was Kiggy on bass, Justin Gilchrist on drums, Max on the vocals, and these were the lads that were up and
Max
down.
Is on the album.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That was the lineup that was doing the gigs.
Yeah,
and so the guitarist Alan, I know him because I used to work with his father at the place where I work, and sadly his dad passed away, and I got to meet Alan for the first time at his dad's funeral. And we became close friends because I had a lot of stories to tell about the stuff that me and him got up at work. And when it was Alan's time to leave the band for his reasons, I got in touch and said, "Look, would you be cool if I asked to join?" And he's like, "You shouldn't have to ask to join your old band. It'd be great if you went back." And I was like, "No, I'm just being courteous and polite, like like you should do." And he was all for it. So I got in touch with I can't remember if it was Max or Phil, and they had a little vote on it and said, "Yeah, let's get him on board." So at that time, they were already trying to record the "Death Is the Shepherds of Mankind" EP.
Right.
Okay, which consists of songs of what Phil and Alan had wrote, right? But Alan had not got a chance to record them. So my first job, Phil sent me this 3-track EP. It was like a demo recording of it. And my first thoughts were, I'm in the fucking shit here because this sounds I can't remember it being like this. It all sounded good, and the songs were just, it was really, really fresh for me, so to speak.
Yeah.
And Phil was very specific how he wanted things done. And they'd also gone down the HM2 route as well. They wanted that Swedish sound.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you listen to that 3-track EP, it's full on HM2 pedal. Yeah.
Yeah. And that came out in 2022.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's on the Bandcamp page as well, isn't it?
It is. So, yeah, it is.
Yeah.
There's no physical copies of that, I don't think, George. Just what you can buy online.
So everyone, the link to the band's Bandcamp page will be in the description of this video. You can get physical copies of the album, but you can get a digital copy of the EP. Is there a t-shirt on there as well?
No, they've all gone.
No, so we've got, picture, disc LP, and the album on CD. Go get it. And check out the MP3 download as well. And that is in the description. So, So when do we how do we then go from the recording of that EP to, I suppose, this lineup must have fell apart at some point.
It did.
And
Yeah.
then
It was August 21. So basically, I'd been in the band a year. Two of the members said they had to depart for personal reasons. And then it was around about that time that Phil first said that he was having problems with his left hand, and he was thinking with dexterity, and he was starting to get checked out. Yeah.
right.
Then it came to light that they were going to start treating him for the brain tumor.
Yeah.
And it was not long after that a third member had to depart, again for personal reasons, and Phil, bless him, wanted to keep going. He's like, this music is big. I think me and him getting together was always like it was a destined thing.
Yeah.
Over all the timeline that we can go, there's been, I think I put a post up on Facebook a couple of years ago about the history of the band, because I feel that I knew it the most, right? And I think there's something like 17 members have come and gone, for various reasons. Every single person who's ever picked up a guitar between Barrow in Furness and Carlisle, yeah, has probably been in this band at some point.
That's, yeah, I mean, that alone to keep going for that many lineup changes is a
yeah. And I think, anyway, so just go back to what I was.
Yes.
So Phil was dead set on, like, because he had like a ton of ideas which had still yet to be recorded, and I had all the old Bloodshed stuff which had never been recorded or deserved that 25 years better revisit, so to speak. There's just like this massive mash of ideas coming together, and it was an exciting time, albeit one with the thoughts in the back of the mind. But I always believed Phil would recover from this. I can't say no truer than that. I always believed he would get better.
Yeah.
So it was, whilst Phil started receiving his first like treatments, if you will, that's when I recruited Callum Warren on drums and Ryan Trufitt on bass. And what I said, Phil, you concentrate on what needs to happen, and I will be working tirelessly with these lads so that when you come back, you're going to hit the ground running, and there's going to be
where we left off. Yeah,
exactly, just with new faces, and Ryan and Callum, bless them, we were coming to practice, and they were learning the songs, and things were sounding good. We were sending Phil like videos of the songs that we'd been rehearsing, and he's like, yeah, it's sounding killer and everything else, and he was positive in himself. Like, he was saying, I can't wait to get back and jam with you guys. It's gonna be awesome. And when things took a turn for the worse, so to speak, I basically said to Ryan and Callum, like, it's not gonna happen how I hoped it's gonna happen, and we basically need to just put this on the shelf for a while, because there's too much going on now,
yeah,
and it was impossible to carry on, for me personally, anyways. So in the meantime, I always knew that the stuff that me and Phil did, because we were jamming together, it was just me and him at times.
Yeah.
And we were always emailing ideas backwards and forwards, different riffs, full songs, you name it. And I always knew in the back of my mind that somewhere in those emails there'd be like a lot of Phil's stuff. Yeah. And, you know, sadly, when he passed away, the day after his funeral, sorry, I said to myself, right, now I'm going to start on this album. And this was it. This was April the 14th, I think, last year. So I dived into all the emails and, you know, everything that we'd sent each other since me rejoining. And like, right, there's a full song of just Phil's guitars played to a click track. Brilliant. There's another one. Brilliant. There's another one. Brilliant. You know, there's parts of that one. Brilliant. You know, and I thought there's enough here. There's definitely enough here.
You've just put it all into, just organised it so where you can see it, and right,
exactly where it needs to be. Yeah,
that's the skeleton. That's
that's it. And funnily enough, like when I just to go back a little bit, when I first joined, he said, you know, he's very particular about this HM2 sound, right? And it was Max who said to me, he said, you're going to have to come to a compromise on the guitar sound because we're full on HM2 at the moment. I was like, okay. And so when I did join and do the Death is the Shepherds of Mankind EP with them, I inquired Phil about his HM2 settings on his laptop and everything else. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he showed me exactly which things he used. So on the parts, so moving forward now, on the parts where Phil was missing on this album, because he shared with me his exact settings, I was able to replicate his tone, if you will, to cover the parts that he wasn't able to. He wasn't able to record or didn't do. And the way it all got put together was kind of like that. In so much as, you know, typically when you would record something professionally, you would send it as a WAV file, which is a lot bigger than an MP3.
Yeah.
And because these were just email ideas backwards and forwards, anything that had a Phil's was just an MP3. Right? I would have, he would have loved it. I would have loved it if we'd have went into a studio and bashed out the songs properly.
Yeah.
But it didn't work out like that.
No, if you can't use
we've got to use what you had to use. And he had to be on this album, mate, you know? That's the top and bottom of it. He had to be on it. So I spoke with Gord Olson, the studio producer, and basically explained the situation and asked if he would take on the job, and he said he would be honoured to, you know. Which
did he know of the band beforehand, and did he know?
I think he will have. I think he might have done.
Yeah.
I mean, I've worked with him before through working with Death Collector, you know, and to me, like he was the first and only choice.
Yeah.
You know, the guy's an absolute professional. He's a genius at what he does, and he understands exactly what's needed. You know, and when I told him about my friend and you know what I'm wanting to do to try and take what I've got of him left and you know put him onto a debut album that's took 25 years to do, you know, he was 100% up for it. And yeah, when that phone call ended, I kind of broke down for about half an hour because I thought it's definitely going to happen now.
Yeah, you
God's involved. That's all the reassurance I need.
Yeah.
It's definitely
he's told you it's possible, it's workable, it's doable.
Yeah.
So now, it doesn't matter how long it takes. It will get finished and it will get done, and the end was in sight. Yeah, the possibility was there.
Yeah. So, as far as how it was put together was concerned, you'd imagine, I don't know, I'll just give you a simile. The Jeff Hanneman, Kerry King on one side and the other side. Yeah. Obviously it wasn't like that because he didn't have enough of Phil to, you know, be there or there. plus it was in MP3 format in what I had of him. So we had to do both sides. Yeah, and there was, you know, there's HM2 in my sound, but Phil's MP3s and the parts that I filled in for him are kind of like driving right through the middle of the mix.
Right. So you've recorded
Left
guitar thing, but in the mix, his
is
guitars.
straight through the heart of it all. Yeah,
Right. Okay.
yeah. And if you research how the Entombed Left Hand Path album was mixed,
Yeah.
he did the similar sort of thing where there's, you know, it's that guitar, and then they used, you know, they used this other amp, so to speak, you know, which gave this real nasty tonal edge to it, you
Yeah.
know, to drive right through the middle. So, you know, that was the best idea basically. So the way I term it is like he's channeled into the mix, he's haunting the mix.
Yeah.
And
That's a good way to put it. Yeah.
he really does it justice, you know. And I know that the songs that he enjoyed to play, he would be over the moon if he could see that you know, they're out there now. And
Yeah. So where was with Ian? What with the demos that you were sent? Were the lyrics already in place, or did Ian just get a blank slate and he just wrote them himself, or was it stuff he was working with during that time anyway? Or
on the album,
yeah,
no, because Ian, or Max as we call him,
yeah,
he'd left the band. He was one of those. He was one of the three who left.
right.
So we'd continued after they went. It was just me and Phil up until the point when Phil could no longer play.
And this was all new material from there because were there songs like older songs that were re-recorded? Because you mentioned that "To Kill" was one of the first songs you wrote.
Yeah, yeah.
But
I showed that to Phil, and he's
yeah,
like, "That's got to be on the album." You know, we were
yeah,
talking about this album, you know, and he's like, and it's like the first one he ever wrote, Phil. You know, and he's like, "It's got to
yeah,
be on it. It's got to be on it."
yeah,
And he learned it in two run throughs, you know, and he recorded it. He recorded it at home a few weeks later, you know. As far as the vocals are concerned, like I say, Max had gone, and there was only me and Phil up until the point when Phil could no longer play. And then, like I said, Ryan and Callum were involved at that point. Then, so we didn't have a vocalist, and I didn't know if I was going to have to jump back on myself because I used to do the vocals back when we were Bloodshed,
oh, okay, right,
as well as do
yeah,
do guitars, you know. Anyways, when I started the album, and when I started the album, the day after Phil's funeral, about 2 or 3 days later, I phoned Max and said, "Look, I've gone through my laptop. I've found song X, Y, Z, and you know, and there's others that just need this and what have you. This is what I want to do." I said, and it's Phil's birthday on December the 12th, just gone, and I want it released by then as a tribute to him on picture vinyl. You know, I'd set the bar so fucking high, yeah.
yeah,
And I said, "Would you come back and do the vocals?" And he was like, "Absolutely." It was, you know, it was to him. It was a no-brainer. It was going to be a fitting tribute. Yeah, and I'm glad he did because it wouldn't feel like Severe Lacerations without him.
and you did it as well. You released it December 12th.
Yeah, the picture vinyl thing on his birthday was like an early present, if you will,
Yeah,
to his family and friends and everybody else. Officially, the album came out on the 1st of January this year, but you know, the picture vinyl on his birthday, that was like you know, that was my way of saying thank you to him and everybody, and you know,
yeah, brilliant,
that's
brilliant.
what we did. That's what we did, mate.
So, how do you feel about the album now? Well, now it's done and out of the way. It's out. It's
Man, I listened to nothing else last year. apart from like when I had to rehearse with Death Collector.
That's the thing. When you're in that recording studio and you're thinking it is just, but I was thinking now you've probably put it away and had time to breathe on it. Have you
Yeah,
revisited lately?
exactly. It was like, I mean, where I work is it's a 40-minute journey from my home, and it just pans out that this album is exactly 40 minutes
Yeah,
long.
I noticed that myself. Funny enough, because I was listening to it driving to work, and when you first like told me about the album, and I got the MP3 of it and put it on in the car, and yeah, it's getting it was certain solos that I was like, this is pretty good. Yeah, all right, yeah, fair enough. Next track, yeah. Oh yeah, that's nasty. Yeah, like that. Yeah, and then and yeah, it just getting into just round the corner from work. It was finished. It was oh right,
Yeah,
perfect. Yeah.
just as you're pulling up onto the car park.
Mind you, 40 minutes is the that is the optimum time in it. If you're gonna go past that, maybe 50. But yeah, if you're gonna go past 40 minutes, you do need to have good reason. I think
I
it's got to
think
be worth it.
I think in my mind as well, I might have read somewhere that would be the maximum time for a 12-inch.
Yeah,
I don't know how right or wrong that is. I'm no expert on vinyl, but
it's something like that. Yeah,
yeah. So we it was purposely kept to that time. And uh, no, just go back to your question. Like my wife, she knows every single cymbal, drum beat, you name it, because she's sick. Like she's heard it all last year. Every time I've done something different to it, like, oh, it sounds like this now, and well, listen to that now. Max has done that, and when those first mixes from God came back, that hit me like a train, right? Because he elevates your sounds to commercially competitive levels, obviously, and puts everything right in its place, and then he does what he does, which is a the studio engineer's tricks of his trade, to give it that magic, so to speak. And I remember sitting down. I got the message that he'd sent the tracks. I couldn't wait to get home. Made myself a drink, sat down, and listened to it for the first time after God had done everything to it, and I wasn't ready for that moment because I like my death metal. I understand my death metal. I've listened to it since I was 14 years old and what have you. And,
yeah.
usual stories. And I thought, I'm hoping this is going to come across really good, because it's not over your head or anything like that.
I suppose when you finish those last guitar tracks and all your stuff done in the studio, it's just you're at their mercy then, really, aren't you?
That's
It's
it.
like, well, I hope, yeah,
Yeah,
you've done
absolutely.
all you can do.
Yeah, just pass it
So,
on.
yeah,
But what I wasn't ready for was the only person that I wanted to hear it couldn't.
yeah,
You know what I mean? And that hit me like a train. And I sat there and fucking cried all the way through it because it's just like he would be beside himself listening to this now. Obviously, it would sound better because he would have done his guitars properly and it'd been even bigger, and but like just to hear his stuff done and put through put through God's hands, so to speak. Yeah, and I wasn't ready. I didn't prepare myself for that. I didn't even give it a second thought. Yeah, that hit me like a train. But to turn it around since it's been out, everyone's been positive about it. It's encouraging to hear that it was, we did the right thing.
yeah, absolutely.
By him,
Yeah,
and when people say it's a fitting tribute, then me and Max and God are very proud of that. God was like the fourth member of the band, so to speak.
yeah.
We treat him like a brother. So,
Well, all I can say, Lee, if you're all here and the listeners are here and you're playing this, he's here. So, cheers, and here's to Phil. And yeah, you mission accomplished, my friend. So, I guess really now the question is like, is there a future with this? Is there any possibility of doing some gigs? Is there more songs that could be used that could be crafted into a second album, maybe, or
Absolutely.
is there some live recordings that can be put out at a later date, or is there anything else that can come of this, or is it?
Interesting. That's interesting. Live recordings. I mean, I'd have to go back and see Max and see if he could maybe uncover something from, because again, they'd stopped gigging by the time I joined.
Yeah, but you mentioned that lineup that was gigging that you said like that was like the pinnacle of the
exactly.
lineup.
That's
Like,
what I mean.
it'd be great if they had played a festival or something like that. Some
Exactly.
soundboard recording. I don't know. Yeah,
I think that, they reached the Metal to the Masses final, the regional final, or something like, and that was for the slot at Bloodstock. So they said they'd done the lads that I joined in with had done really, really well for themselves. So maybe if one of those shows has been recorded, then yeah, great. But I can assure you, Joe, that there is a lot of material. There's certainly enough for a second album. There'd be enough for a second album just off the bloodshed, serrated laceration stuff, if you will.
Yeah.
That we could have worked on. Yeah. There's other songs there's at least 2 other songs that Phil wrote that I know of, that I've got, which didn't make the album purely because of see, when we would write stuff, we would just put like a basic drum beat over the top of it, just a kick and a snare and a little hi-hat just to keep you in time with the quarters, or those songs, I couldn't use Phil's guitars off those songs because the time constraints in isolating those bass drum frequencies and those snare drum frequencies and chopping them out possibly could have, taken too long. And bear in mind, I'd set the target from April when we started it, as in first looking for, if it was possible, to December to have it in picture disc in hand. Yeah, so there was 2 songs of Phil's that didn't make the album.
Yeah, plus you want to stay within that 40-minute timeline as well.
Exactly. So, but definitely, mate, definitely, there's definitely enough stuff there for a second album. If it would be Bloodshed, serrated laceration stuff done 25 years better, or these 2 songs of Phil's. Yeah, there was one that he actually wrote. There's a third one actually as well, that he wrote after he had his first lot of treatment. He got some dexterity back in his left side, and he was playing again.
Yeah,
and this track is dark, mate. It's like, it's really, really dark. Yeah, and that would certainly, if the people who knew know the thing behind it, then yeah, it would hit them in the feels, and that was purely him all the way through. But again, I couldn't use it because time constraints and demo drums on top.
I mean, do you think that's something you'd be up for? I mean, I know that the album's finished now, so you probably want the dust to settle. But is that something you feel you could do?
Absolutely.
Yeah, you've done it. You've done it once.
Somebody messaged me one day, and I don't know where their head was when they said it. It was like, right, is this going to be the end of Severe Lacerations now? And I never replied. I just thought, no, fuck you. We're just getting started.
Yeah.
Seriously, we're just getting started, because this is like a lot of unfinished business. There's a lot of good work been done over all the years, by a lot of people who've been in and out of the band. Yeah. Why would we just call it quits?
No, so yeah, and there's good stuff here that needs to be heard, and for whatever reason, life's got in the way for a lot of things. So if you're able to get it out there now, and with your band camps and your Spotify's and all the rest of it, if you can build up a following, and go for it. Absolutely. So you reckon gigs would be with putting a lineup together? And
yeah, Yeah,
even if it's with new members.
yeah. Like I said, we've got with Ryan and Callum on board, and when the time is right, uh, we will look to and announce, for a new guitarist who's obviously going to carry Phil's torch forwards.
Yeah,
And yeah, I have a couple of a couple of a couple of ideas in mind. You know what I mean? Of people who would possibly be able to and like to do that as well. So yeah, 100%, mate, 100%. There's no way we're not just going to record this and then leave it. It's
no,
not
it's
going to
good.
end like
That's
that.
good. It reminds me a little bit as well of have you know Blasphemer?
I do, yeah,
Yeah. The it was a similar sort of setup with their first album.
yeah,
So they had put out a couple of demos back in the 90s.
yeah.
And yeah, you know, you got Maz, Arno, and Dale, all, you know, great guys.
I know.
I've seen them a couple of times. They were opening for Exalder,
Yeah,
and I saw them opening for Skeletal Remains as well.
yeah.
And yeah, but that first album was basically re-recording of their demos from back
Aye.
in the day, and then they later released replicas of the demos on
Yeah,
cassette. That was really cool. And then
yeah,
their second album, I think, was the last couple of leftover songs. Then it was new material, and
yeah.
but yeah, no, it was
We
yes.
saw those guys open for Malevolent Creation in Leeds
Oh, nice, yeah,
a couple of years ago when Malevolent Creation were doing the Retribution tour,
yeah.
and it was my youngest daughter.
It was just three of them, and none of them were original.
Yeah, yeah. But they done the music. They done the music. It sounded awesome to me that
Yeah,
night, And Ryan,
they did do Retribution in full, didn't they?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
You got Ronnie Palmer on drums. It's nailed on, and Josh and Ryan just did an amazing job. But the thing was, I was going to say, Blasphemer were opening for Malevolent Creation that night, and it was my 16-year-old daughter's first death metal gig.
Oh,
So
brilliant.
Blasphemer was the first death metal band that she'd ever saw live, and I remember
How old's your daughter?
she was 16 at the time.
Oh, great, yeah.
She's 18 now, and she was recording with a phone. She was stood on the side. She didn't want to get involved in the mosh pit and what have you. And they played Child Catcher, and it was the first time I'd ever heard that song. And they come with that riff, towards the end when everything stops and then they start up
Yeah,
again.
yeah.
And I remember listening to it, and all the hairs on my arm stood up, and I was like, I looked at my daughter. I said, "Please tell me you videotaped that." I said, because that was being amazing. So yeah, a lot of respect for those guys. I've been in touch with them, have a chat with Mass every now and then, and yeah, certainly look forward to.
They're just a good no nonsense band. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, certainly look forward to seeing them again sometime.
Yeah, you mentioned that just before, what was it? Must have been October, I think it was. I took my boy, he's 13.
Right.
Took him to see Obituary.
Cool.
And I took him to see, he's seen like Maiden and Alice Cooper and like sort of mainstream bands.
Yeah.
But this was in smallest venue he's ever been in.
Right.
And it's converted from an old church.
Right.
And yeah, I don't think it even holds 1,000 people. And that was it was just great because he just was still the whole time. I was just like,
yeah.
Are you all right? Yeah. And then a pit kicked off like in the right around him, and he's like, "What? Didn't know what to do." And but it's funny with my son. He's enjoying himself when he goes quiet, when he's just taking it all in.
That's it.
And yeah, and then even then I was just like, the band finished. So during the before they come out to do the encore, and I said, like, you had enough? Do you want to go? Like, no. Wanted to stay straight to the end. Yeah.
Awesome.
So, yeah, I'm trying to get him at a young age, because a lot of the bands, you don't know how long everyone's got left. I want to be able to say like, no, he saw them.
Yeah.
When he could, So
has he got his own CD collection started up yet, or
he doesn't need one?
I was going to say,
Yeah, everything
hang on a minute,
yeah.
where's my bloody so-and-so CD going to be? Gaps appearing soon.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I'm hoping, like I say, they haven't taken to it as much as I thought they would be. I thought by now, you know, because I've got two boys, they'd be fighting over the record player, and I'll be having a go at them because this LP's scratched or something like that. But no,
Yeah,
they're it's all on the phones and everything. But
that's it. That's it.
it's here for when they want it, you know.
Awesome.
So, yeah, man. So yeah, the future's looking good, and like I say, it's a real fitting truth. So, shall we go through some of the songs then?
Yeah.
So, I've got to say, the thing that really stuck out for me is that, you know, these are, I don't like saying old school, because if something, it doesn't matter how old or new something is, something's good. But it is just classic death metal in the way death metal should be. And, but yeah, you've got good pace songs where you go from like a shredding fast riff to a nice big groove. You've got doomy sections in there as well. But the thing for me that cut through it really was the solos. I think I even listened to it again today, and what was it? Immutable and Unholy Revenge, really. Pretty much all of them, to be fair. But and you know, from what you was just saying, and you know, you could just tell that there was emotion in these solos, in these melodies, and you could tell that you really put yourself into them. And I think I mentioned in the review, you know, you can feel the mourning, the grief, in the music.
It's the solos came last.
Yeah.
Sorry, the vocals came. The vocals and the solos kind of at the same time. You know, would say like, I'm going to put this here. So Max would work his vocals around where the solos would be. Yeah. Or if he came and he ran out of lyrics, so to speak, or something was longer than expected, should we say? Like on Atavistic, it felt weird to not start. It'd be nice to put one at the start, but then also just put something at the end. You know, just to basically fill out each song. But as far as playing them was concerned, that the solo from To Kill is 25 years old. Guys, I'm thinking back now. I'll have been 25 years old when I wrote that, and I look back to a 25-year-old me playing that in the Station Hotel in Millham and what I've been thinking, like, finally it's down on bloody vinyl, you know. But the rest of them were. You're right, Joe. You're absolutely correct. It was that was me and my heart, and that's what I felt this song needed, or that's what I felt each song needed, and that's what came out. You know, a lot of it was just improvised to just go with what had just been played, and you know, I'm no expert guitarist. I'm basically mediocre at best, right? You know, there's guys out there who are 10 times, 100 times, 1,000 times better than me. I don't pick it up enough to be any high class standard, but I like to think that I play the stuff that I would like to hear. You know, when I buy a CD, you know, and I think back to all those old early albums, the stuff that Rick Ross used to do. Used to blow my mind. You know, I love the whammy bar thing. I'm guessing, you know, I've used that a bit on there. Tray worship. I can't do Tray Azagthoth, but like, you know, it was all the guys just.
Well, you got to snap the strings and wrap them around your arm and cut yourself up and bleed load of stage and make that, yeah.
But you know what I mean? It's like, it's just thinking back to what did those.
Take a load of LSD.
Yeah. What did those guys do who went before us? You know, well, they probably did a lot better than what I've just did. But
well, no, you're selling yourself shortly. I think you're a fantastic guitar player. I mean, there's some fantastic stuff, and I think I mentioned this in the review. you normally get one or the other. You normally get your Rick Ross or your Kerry King, for example, where it is just, as they say on Metal Breakfast Radio, unleash the turkeys.
Yeah.
You know, or you get melodic,
Yeah.
James Murphy, or insert guitarist here.
Yeah.
Very rarely do you get both,
Yeah.
and that was the treat with this album, is that you did get both, and you did what was suited to the song each time. You had really good judgment there on what to do, and every solo served its purpose. And I do think a good, that's what defines a solo, is it gives the climax to a song. You know, it's and yeah, you can be technical, you can be melodic, you can be, sometimes even simpler the better. Just the ringing, that's always I think, a really effective tool, which doesn't
Yeah.
take a lot, but when you just go,
Yeah.
and just let it
I
ring out.
think back to those three albums that James Murphy. I always say he totally enhanced them. Spiritual Healing, Habitually Caused Death, and Cancer, Death Shall Rise.
Yeah.
His,
He had a bit of a winning streak at the beginning there. Well, he's never done anything bad, really, James Murphy.
No, like it's him.
Yeah,
and it's beautiful. His guitar work is absolutely beautiful, and certainly something to that I aspire to. Anyways, when I think back to those albums,
Yeah, so let's tell us a bit more about yourself then. Like, so you've got Severe Lacerations, you've got a couple of other projects going on, but yeah, how long have you been playing, and how many bands you've been in?
I got my first guitar. It's actually here. This was back in '92. It's currently going to go underneath it's currently going to get refurbished. And I had this one for years and years and years. Guitar was like a winter thing for me, ashamedly. When I like being outside, I like fishing, I like hill walking and things like that. And
yeah,
when we're stuck inside during the winter months, that's normally when I'd pick up the guitar. And
yeah, and then in the summer,
I'm talking after leaving. I'm talking after leaving SL now in 2005. These last 15 years, I've kind of only picked up guitar, when it's pissing down or winter, But I've always had amps in the house and always had guitars in the house, and just basically plugged away like that. I've messed around with bass over the years as well, just to like fill out songs of any ideas that I might have had, and but I wouldn't. I certainly wouldn't go as far as to say I'm a prolific bass player. I could probably just and so get by,
Yeah.
But I really enjoy it, and I think the lockdown thing really hammered home. That's when I started like looking at my guitars and doing them up, buying project guitars to do up and things like that, and and obviously that was the year that I rejoined SL as well. So all of a sudden now I finally got purpose again to be in a band.
Yeah.
And it was like a great thing it was a great thing. And that's what I got, even though as tragic as it is what's happened has happened, but I don't want to let go of this now. I can't.
No, and some it's terrible as these things are. It's always something good's come out of it, and you can't ask for more than that.
Yeah.
So I mean, you must have a half decent collection yourself. I'm seeing some picture discs behind you there. I could just make out Leprosy.
Yeah.
Can I see what's that next one? Is that Suffocation?
Yeah. Obituary.
Is that Obituary on the bottom there?
Yeah,
that's Cause of Death. Yeah. What's that?
That one was signed by John, Donald, and Trevor. That one.
Oh, nice. That's not Bolt Thrower, is it, at the top there?
Yeah, that's Bolt Thrower.
It is Bolt Thrower. The reason I just thought, no, There's no way that's out on picture disc.
Yeah,
So, oh,
yeah. That's very old, that one. Trust
oh
me.
yeah. Oh, I can imagine.
Next to it is Legion Dayside. I've got upstairs the Dayside picture disc, the one that was done 250 units.
Yeah.
I managed to get hold of one of them.
So you would have, tell you what, your record collection's one thing. I bet I would love to see your ticket stub collection. Did you ever keep your old tickets from gigs you went
Yeah,
to?
no.
Yeah, yeah.
We had a period where, like,
I'd like to
we
see
were,
the price of some of them as well.
yeah, awesome. We were going
Everyone's
to,
got a shoebox under their desk. Everyone's
yeah,
got a.
we were going to Rio's in like the late 90s. This was at Bradford. And we got to see a lot of bands up until it closed down in what would it be 2002, 2003, maybe later. I'm not sure, but that was our local, so to speak. Where we are in Cumbria, there's nowhere close. So Bradford Rio's was our local
Yeah.
death metal venue, so to speak. Seen some great bands there. Let's say Morbid Angel with Jared Anderson when he was fronting them.
That's who we got to talk about. Yeah.
Yeah, Hate Eternal, Immolation, Vader, Dayside, Emperor, Akatum, Rebellion. Got to see all kinds of bands there.
Did you ever see Death?
No,
Never saw them, no.
I've never got to see them, mate.
No, I knew some people that got to see them at the Mean Fiddler. I think that was on a Symbolic tour. I don't think they toured that much here, though.
No,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah, it's only now the documentaries and stuff come out. They didn't actually tour that much.
Yeah.
But I've got the yeah, let's talk about Internecine. I'll show something off quickly. I'm not going to go for the LP because I'll be here all night, but I know where the CDs are. One sec. But yeah, Internecine, the Book of Lambs. What an album, man.
Oh man, yeah.
And yeah, I've got a that's one of my prized possessions there.
Very naughty, yeah.
Yeah. And
how did you get hold of that?
Wow. Discogs and good timing.
Yeah, yeah.
But
you saw the Internecine CD that I got from Discogs, didn't you? That Eric had signed.
Yes.
I think you put on my Facebook. You said I am seething with jealousy right now.
Oh.
I can assure you, right? I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll put a yellow sticky label on it, and if anything happens to me, I'll write on it "sends to Joe," blah blah blah. Yeah, and you can have it that way.
Oh, nice one. I'll tell you what. I've blown my own trumpet here, but I'll see if I'll get you a copy. But yeah, Metal Legion magazine. That was my my first front cover article, and I'm not, sorry if I come across, but I've never read an interview with Eric Rutan that was better than that.
Right.
And yeah, we talk about those times and Jared and that, and that's not going back up now. Oh yeah. I'll play with that later. But
the guy was just
not to think, but Eric he had to compose himself, He he had to sort of take a breath and go, yeah, like, And for some reason we came to the end of our interview and he went, I've got to let you go because I've got another interview lining up. He went, but if you want, I can call you back. And like an idiot, I went, no, don't worry, you're all right. And as soon as I hung up, I went, why did I?
Yeah.
Why did I do that? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man.
And
that lineup that did Conquering the Throne. I mean, when that album came out, we were like, where were we in our journey? We've obviously been pretty early on, but like, all I could think was just, this is just getting unbelievably so far ahead now. Listen to the stuff these guys are doing. Tim the Missile Young on drums, and Jared on bass, Rutan on vocals, Doug Cerrito from Suffocation is like,
yeah, exactly. That was the only thing he's done outside of Suffocation, isn't it? Classic
Yeah,
Suffocation.
yeah.
Yeah.
And you listen to the songs that he wrote on that album, and for me, they're the best songs.
Mm.
And that's not a slant on Eric. It's what the stuff I prefer. Dethroned, and yeah, that was wrote by Doug, and it's just like, what is death metal? Put that song on. There you go. That's it. It's pure, carnage
Yeah.
from start to finish. Just absolutely awesome.
The I think the last two Hate Eternal albums have he's stepped things up a notch though, because he's started to go melodic.
Yeah.
And I think it's nicely added to the
Yeah.
overall sound, because it's not taken away from the intensity either
Aye.
of it. But
Yeah.
but what albums were the ones that affected you the most now? Like, is there like a group of albums where you envision when you're playing, or you go, right, that's what I want to reach, like that's the template?
I'm still. The dog's going crazy. Sorry. I'm still. I'm still stuck in the 90s. Honestly,
Yeah.
I just can't escape from the 90s. And hey, give over. I can't escape from those early feelings, whether they hit me so hard or what, that it's had a super profound effect. But like a lot of the newer stuff doesn't really do a great deal for me.
Yeah,
No?
I think a lot of the newer stuff, I mean, technically they're running rings around people, but
That's what I'm saying.
something about the way it's recorded, and it's all very clean, and something about those older recordings, that person's playing or drumming a million miles an hour, and
Yeah.
they've had that's a perfect take rather than a clicked. And
I think a lot of the times as well is that the you're right, that this 8-string fan fretted bloody sweet picking stuff and what have you is good, and it's it is a probably an enviable skill, but like some of the songs just seem to start there and then they'll somehow end there, and you don't remember nothing of it.
yeah.
What happened to a verse, a chorus, a
Hooks.
middle eight, and
Yeah.
verse, chorus, outro. It's something that comes across as which is memorable, so to speak.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that is lost. But as far as albums that influence me, and they still do to this day, it's almost weird because like I have seasons where I listen to a particular album, like Street Cleaner, Godflesh.
Yeah.
That always reminds me of like when the summer's really, really hot. It just feels hazy and apocalyptic, and you see the the crosses on the front on fire and things like that. I always seem to listen to Street Cleaner through the summer. It's weird.
I do have that. I have that. Those certain albums.
Yeah.
I always say as well, as I said, like British death metal has like a grimy, sort of grey overcast feel to it.
Yeah.
And yeah, European and British death metal is for the winter, but American is for the summer. Where like that Florida is something. The heat is something about the intensity of the heat.
Yeah. Well, like when
and there's like the melody and the melancholy of the winter in these cold countries.
Yeah, yeah. Like when the spring's coming or spring's turn into summer, I would kind of go thrash.
Yeah.
You crack out the baseball boots and the shorts, and hanging out drinking beers and what have you, just like them guys did, which they can probably do all year round over there. Yeah, it kind of to me, the seasons tell me, sort of dictate to me what sort of music that I listen to.
Obviously, you see you got a Sadist t-shirt on there. Have you heard the new album?
I've not heard it fully. No, I've not heard it fully yet. But,
it's good. I mean, I don't know why Steve isn't on it. I suppose they're getting sick of being asked as well. But
who did the bass? Was it Darren?
Yeah, he just did it. They just did it, the two of them. But And yeah, he could have. He does a fair enough job, but you just know Giorgio would have been all,
Oh
all
yeah,
over. He just
yeah.
liked to have seen what he had. But the songs are good. It's a good
Yeah.
album. It's yeah, don't know what happened there, but no, it's definitely worth checking out. Yeah.
No, I like Sadis. I got the Swallowed in Black CD for my I think it was my 16th birthday, and I wrote to Darren
Oh, cool.
years ago, and this was this was around the time when where's the letter? Better be in here. This was around the time when Steve DiGiorgio was doing Human,
Right. Yeah.
and I basically, I said, "Is he gone?" And you probably
Oh,
won't be,
brilliant. Yeah.
you won't be able to read it, but he just said, "Thanks for the support. Here are some stickers. Now available, new album now available through RC Roadrunner. Check it out." No, Steve just did the Death LP for a favour to Chuck, and then he wrote L8R or L8R, which I now understand as later. No, this is 1991, and then he wrote WBS, which I now understand as Right Back Soon. And did I write back? No. Darren Travis said this. I had that framed. I had that framed for years, but yeah, just cool things. Like this. This is what I've always loved about this music is that if you reach out, quite often these people do get back to you, and they're accessible outside the gigs, and they're quite welcome to have a chat and things like that. I mean, I'm a fan, absolute fan, and I think that's how I'll always be. I'm a fan who's fortunate enough to have friends and who wanted to be in a band and what have you. But I'm like yourself. I like collecting, and I just love the music in general.
Yeah, exactly. It's the same as me. I love going to the gigs, love getting the CDs, love getting all the stuff, and
Yeah,
that's why I started this channel really, just to instead of boring my wife with it all, just speaking to the ether and hope I get something back.
Well, you're doing a good job, mate. It's good.
Oh,
Good.
good.
Really enjoy it.
Well, I guess we're coming up an hour now, so we'll wrap things up. But yeah, so as I say, Severe Lacerations, Burning the Mortal Coil. You cannot beat this for British death metal. And as I said at the beginning, the band's Bandcamp page will be in the description, so go and check that out. Also, there'll be a link to my previous video if you haven't watched it already, of a review of the album. And Lee, thanks for coming on the show. And Lee will be back soon with his other project he's going to tell us all about, Death Collector. And yeah, thanks for coming on, man.
Thanks for having me, Joe.
Take care, everyone. And yeah, support the channel. Give us one of them if you made it this far. Consider liking if you haven't already. And here you go. Look, Death Collector in the background now.
Oh, yes.
So see you all soon.